Haha, you've been clickbaited, but only partially. Hello, welcome to Mads Creates. I'm Madeline, and in this video I'm going to be trying knitting as a crocheter. Now, I did learn to knit very shortly after I started crochet, so I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years into my crochet journey, so it might have been about 14, 15 when I started learning knitting, and I only learned how to do, I believe, the garter stitch with just the basic knit stitch. I guess I'm going to be making some swatches, seeing what I can do, seeing if I'll get back into knitting. I really don't like knitting because of the sound of the needles. I do know that you don't have to use metal needles, you can use wooden or plastic ones, but these are the biggest needles that I have for this leftover chunky yarn that I had. Actually, this used to be a knit beanie, but I took it apart because I never wore the beanie. I never would have worn the beanie. It's covered in cat hair. These are boy 12.5 millimeter, US 17. Why don't the numbers match up with the millimeters? Just use the metric system. Like, I'm from the US, but use the metric system. 12.5 millimeter needles. I'm going to attempt to do some swatches. So, and you can already tell that there's, wait, these are bite marks. Did a cat get in my... I was gonna say you can see some wear and tear on the needles already, but these are like bite marks. Either a puppy or a cat got a hold of this. Okay, let's get into it. I believe this is an acrylic. It's either a 5 or a 6 bulky. I think it's just a 5. Looks like it's just 2 strands woven together. So this might be wool, but I think it's acrylic. I don't know, acrylic was meant to look like wool, so casting on, let's see if I can remember. I know you do start with a slip knot. I'm just doing the basic cast on. I already remember how to do this. This is like very natural. How many stitches are we gonna cast on? Just doing swatches, we'll do 15. See, so you take the yarn, finger gun, wrap it around. Is that big enough for a swatch? Yes, it is. It definitely is. Ooh, these might be too tight, so it's probably gonna curl. Oopsie. Oopsie, oopsie, poopsie. Now, I believe you start... See, I hold my yarn with this hand because I am a crocheter. I'm right hand dominant. So, I know some people hold the yarn in their right hand when they're right hand dominant, and I don't understand that. They probably learned knitting first, so scoop it, strangle it, pull it through, and it jumps off the cliff. I don't remember if I'm supposed to yarn over or yarn under. Oh, damn it. I know you weren't supposed to come off the loop. Get back on there. See, I'm already messing up. Okay, go into the front loop, yarn over. Girl, I really have not done this in forever. See, okay, this is the basic knit stitch that I know how to do, and you just keep doing that. This is really hard. Well, it's not hard. I'd say crochet is probably harder than knitting. Does that look right? Did I drop a stitch? Are these just long back bitches? I can already tell my stitches are really tight. Sorry, you can hear my dogs barking. They go crazy when they hear the tiniest sound. Yes, I should probably lower the camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing instead of having to hold my... Alright, I'm at my last stitch. Oh gosh, this is gonna look so bad. I think it's gonna be too loose. I might need to size down. But this next smallest size I have is a 10 millimeter. And my slip knot is so loose. Girl, I believe I'm doing this right. I have not looked at a video of anybody crocheting, so if I'm yarning over and that's wrong and I'm supposed to be yarning under, oops. At least it's consistent throughout the project. Yeah, this is way too tight. My stitches are way too tight. I thought I would have completely forgotten all of this by now. See, I'm gonna have to get the hang of how to hold it. It's splitting! I don't remember where I got this yarn. I think I got it from Walmart, but I don't remember. That was 5 years ago, maybe 6? Probably 6. Did I just... I didn't even... Did I do that to the last one too? I have no clue. Yes I did. I already messed up. No, we're just gonna go through it. It's fine. This is just a swatch. If you don't cooperate... What did I do? Forget about it. Stitches are too tight. reasons I hate knitting. It takes forever. It's been 11 minutes. 11 and a half minutes. I will come back when I have more, and I will show you how bad it is. You know, honestly, I could have done just 10. 15, this is long. This is huge. I should have just done 10. I am already so over this. But I mean, if you go into something with a bad attitude, you're gonna have bad results. So, change my attitude. I love knitting. I love knitting. Stab it. Strangle it. Scoop out its guts. Throw it off a cliff. I love knitting. I love knitting. Quit being too tight. See, my tension was not even for this first row, but now it's starting to get more even. Just gonna keep trying. When you try your best, but you don't succeed. I also I just don't like the sound of this. Scrape, 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 clink, clink, clink. Quit splitting. The way my parents... I'm holding my yarn exactly how I would hold it to crochet. Wrapped around my middle finger, and then my pointer controls, I guess, the tension. They all control the tension. Alright, a couple more minutes of this garter stitch, and then I will try the stockinette. I've never done a purl row, which I know is basically, it is the opposite of a knit stitch. It's just backwards. I don't know if my face looks like it's focused or if it looks like I'm angry. I'm annoyed. Hate that sound. That's what it sounds like to me. And I'm one of the people who used to click my pen like non-stop in class, and I know that was annoying for a lot of people, but for me it helped me focus. I mean, I haven't been in school for over 2 years now, but like those first 2 rows are really iffy, but I'm getting it. It's looking good. Very loose. I just remembered that one time in 6th grade, I was 12 when I had just started to learn to crochet. I took my crochet to school with me, and in my English class I pulled it out, and the teacher comes up and goes, "Are you knitting?" And 12-year-old me panicked, and I said, "Yeah, but it's crochet." So like now if somebody says, "Oh, what are you knitting?" I will correct them, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm crocheting blah blah blah." Crochet and knit are very 2 different things. They're almost not comparable. Like, knit can be done by hand and it can be done by loom. Just like sewing can be done by hand or it can be done by machine. Crochet can only be done by hand. Everyday items are knit. Like the shirt I'm wearing right now is knit. The pants I'm wearing are knit. Okay, so I know to make a stockinette stitch, it's knit 1 row, purl 1 row. But I was watching an episode of, I think it was Baby Looney Tunes, and Granny's watching all the kids and she's trying to have her alone time and knit and stuff, and she's going down each row and then immediately saying knit 1, purl 2, knit 1, purl 2 in like the same row, and I'm like, but if that's a different type of stitch, like I'm not very knowledgeable in knitting. Like I don't know what I'm doing. This is a nightmare to work with. Girl, if you don't throw you in the trash. I feel like I might have enough to make a little scarf. It's gonna be the ugliest knit scarf I ever made. Okay, so I just did some research, and now I know why Granny from Looney Tunes was saying knit 1, purl 2, because the rib stitch, I was doing some research on my handy dandy Masca tool here. The rib stitch, switch between knit and purl stitches on the same row to create a stretchy rib stitch. I haven't used much of this yarn and I'm already pretty far, so I'm thinking I might make a scarf with it. I'm also going to look at Passionate Kelsey's, her tutorials on knitting. I mean, I already watched them just because I wanted to listen to her voice while I crocheted, because it's very soothing if you haven't watched her videos already. I'm not going to be trying any cable knitting because I can do that with crochet and I understand it with crochet. Plus I also don't have any the double-ended pointy thingies that you're supposed to use for them. I don't know what they're called. I can look it up, but I'm not going to. Here is my garter stitch. But I mean, it's working out very nicely. The color, it looks like a beautiful gradient. I like it. I am going to have to watch a tutorial on how to purl rows. If it's the opposite of the knit stitch, that means I would be going into the back row, yarning under and pulling through, right? I'm gonna double check.
Flowers in Hobby Lobby's floral department. Whether you're
Screw Hobby Lobby. I was very wrong. So you're still going into the front loop, the loop closest to you, but you're going in the opposite direction instead of this direction, because normally you would go in, stab it, strangle it, scoop out its guts, and throw it off a cliff. But for the stockinette, you're going in this side and wrapping your yarn around like this. You can't tell. I need help. Okay, so what I need to do is, instead of having my yarn behind my work, I need to switch my yarn to be in front of my work, and then I go in and just pull it off. Wow, that's so easy. If this doesn't turn out good and I mess up this whole thing, I'll probably cry. No, I won't. I won't cry, because this is poopy yarn, but I'm not gonna get rid of yarn just because. So I literally only watched 30 seconds of her video, maybe a minute. Hopefully I know what I'm doing, because I really don't. Stop splitting. So these purl rows are gonna get me. I got my purl row. Time to knit one row. I feel like this yarn smells weird. I'm smelling something and it smells weird. This stuff is splitting like crazy. I almost dropped a stitch. Y'all didn't see it. What is this? What am I doing? I don't know. It's comfortable though. Okay, this is definitely getting easier. Because I know back when I was a child, it was very difficult for me to understand and what I was doing. There is a spider. Do y'all see that? There's a spider. He's blowing in the wind. I'm sorry, you have to die. I don't know where that came from. Okay, that was the correct stitch. That was right. I just tried to do a knit stitch. But this is what it's looking like. I'm doing a great job. It's also thinner. You can't really tell, but I can feel that it's thinner. So I might redo all of this and make a scarf in the stockinette stitch, because I like how it looks. I could never understand how to make it. What was it, 6 years ago? I would have been 14, yeah, probably 14 years old. I couldn't understand how to do that. I was getting too frustrated, you know. Yeah, no, now I've got the hang of the stockinette stitch, and you can see, I think I'm just gonna try a bunch of different stitches. Okay, I'm definitely probably an advanced, no, well actually yeah, an advanced beginner. I would not say I'm intermediate yet, but I mean, I've got the stockinette stitch down, I've got the garter stitch down. The next thing to do is the rib stitch, which is knit one, purl one, or however many knits and purls you want to alternate between the row, because I'm sure you can do any number you want. There's no set rules on how to knit whatever you want to knit. I mean, there are some rules, there's guidelines and on how to do the basics. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going until I have about the same size square for this. I don't know how many rows it is. I'm not counting. I'm just going based off of looks. I'm definitely an advanced beginner with knitting, but I am an experienced crocheter. I've been doing that since I was 12. I'm about to turn 21 in a couple months, like 2 months. I don't know what time you're seeing this, but right now for me it is May 21st, so June, July, so 2 months and 2 weeks. My birthday, August 7th. I'm a Leo. Hopefully way before then I will definitely have my rug tapestry out, and that video should be up. The tapestries, they're huge. I have 2 of them already started. I'm already like 55 rows into the rug out of, I believe, 100 and something. And then on my other tapestry, it's a lot wider, but it's shorter as well. And I think I'm like 30 something rows into that one. And those take up a lot of brain power. I have to focus on them. I have to pay attention. I can't just mindlessly crochet. Those are definitely taking some time. My stitches are too tight. I'm not doing this right. I probably should be using a smaller yarn and a smaller hook, and this might be a lot easier. Hook? I said hook. I'm a crocheter. I meant needles. I do have smaller needles. I have an array of needles. My boyfriend got a box from his aunt that came from his great aunt. His mom and his aunt got a hold of that and they probably went through it, and then they were like, oh, well, Maddie likes to knit and crochet. Here's a whole box of yarn and knitting needles and a really big loom. And I got a bunch of different yarns that I've never tried. Like, these are vintage yarns. Like, she had these in her basement for a while. They had that smell to them. And I made a granny square baby blanket. It's just one giant granny square that I continued, and then it has a shell border, but it alternates between white and yellow, and that will be for way into the future. I just made it because I had the yarn on hand. And then there were a bunch of knitting needles. I don't know exactly how many I got, but they all had a pair. None of them were loaners. I know a couple years ago my aunt found a box of craft stuff. It had yarn, it had a loom in there for embroidery, like a huge tabletop loom. It was like 12 inches, maybe 14. It was huge. I got rid of it because I had no use for it, which hindsight is, I got some knitting needles out of that box and I kept them, and I kept most of the yarn. I really don't like to thrift yarn just because I don't know what it is or where it came from, how old it is, and like what brand it is. I'm very, very picky. That being said, like if I go to a thrift store, I don't normally thrift, but when I do, like if I do and the yarn is still in its original packaging, I'll buy it. I'll definitely buy it. I just don't get out much. I don't thrift much. I don't have money to thrift. I don't have money to buy shit. I have money to buy brand new yarn from Michael's and Joann's, of course. I'm a hypocrite. Anyway, I was saying, yeah, I should probably use different needles and different yarn because one, this stuff is super chunky, which is easy to work with, but it's double stranded instead of like 4 to 12 twists. So it is splitting a lot, which would not be easy to work with if you were an absolute beginner, but I've been working with yarn for 12 years now, so no, 8 years. Oh my gosh, I was 12 years old when I started. 8 years. Now I want to watch Baby Looney Tunes. I know what my issue is, and I don't know how to fix it. That wasn't supposed to happen. Go back on. Girl, if you don't. It was not long before I made my first mistake. I dropped a stitch right here, so, I don't know how far I dropped. See, I was enjoying this because I got the hang of it, but now, getting frustrated. See if that fixes it, because I don't want to go back another row. So at that point I would just frog this whole thing and redo it. Yep, that fixed it. I did it. No more drop stitches. Does that look right? Oh, no. Yeah, I did not fix it. You see? This is the knit row. This is the purl row. Pick these stitches back up. I don't know if I'm doing this wrong or not, but I don't care. Alright, I got the garter stitch, I tried some stockinette, I did another garter, and now I'm going to try the seed stitch. So we're gonna see how it works out. I have to watch a video on how to do it, but from what I read, it just says seed stitch is the textured stitch that alternates single knit stitches and single purl stitches both horizontally and vertically. It lies flat like garter. So I believe it's gonna be, if I start with a knit and I end with a purl, then I'm also gonna start with a knit and end with a purl, so that there isn't, so knit stitches are not on top of knit stitches and purl stitches are not on top of purl stitches. I believe that is what they're saying right there. So I'm not even gonna watch a video. I'm just gonna try it and I'm gonna see if it works. So I'm not sure how it's looking so far, but I believe to make the ribbing stitch I would make the exact same stitch on top of each other. I'm just gonna work this up and see. Don't know if I'm gonna keep this when I'm done with it. I think I'm probably going to frog all of this and just donate the yarn because I hate it, I don't want to work with it, and I don't want to keep it, and I'm not going to throw it away so it goes to a landfill. So hopefully somebody will be able to get use out of it. Okay, now I understand why people hate knitting with Big Twist Party, because you can crochet with it, but people say you can't knit with it. Disregard what I just said about the seed stitch and the ribbing, because what I thought would be see the seed stitch is actually ribbing, because that's ribbing. Okay, I actually kind of like it. I will continue to work the ribbing, and then I will actually look up how to do the seed stitch. Can't just pretend to know what I'm doing. I'm sure some professional or knitter who knows what they're doing is probably watching me like, this girl. Yeah, if somebody who actually knows what they're doing would like to tell me in the comments how I can, you know, fix my tension issue, that would be great. I'm sure it's just the yarn that I'm working with, because my tension, it seems it's consistent. You can tell that is consistent tension right there, but it's tight. I am trying my best to have the best possible attitude going into this, but I am a crochet girly through and through. I'm happy. I'm getting the dopamine rush for being good at something and like it being my first time trying it and all, but it's going away rather quickly. I think I'm just gonna have a love-hate relationship with knitting. I want to finish this so bad, and I have this much yarn left, literally more than half the ball left. The cake, because I caked it up. This is how far I got. Oh, it's backwards. I already hate stockinette. I hate that it curls. Like, I like how it looks, but I hate that it curls. I think I like this ribbing a lot, because this ribbing looks really pretty, and I can recreate this ribbing look with crochet, and it looks way better. Some people might argue that, oh, it's just because you're a beginner, blah blah blah, your tension's not that good. I will die on this hill that crochet looks better than knit. In the fashion industry, everything is knit. Almost everything. As I said earlier, my shirt I'm wearing is knit. My pants, they're shorts, are knit. So we're conditioned by society to believe that knitting looks better just because it's easier to do on a loom and our clothes are made out of knit all the time. But it only looks this good because it was knit on a loom. Everything is consistent on a loom. I know that some of the stitches that I'm doing, I'm trying for the first time. Like, I'm trying stockinette for the first time, I'm trying the ribbing for the first time, I'm going to be trying the seed stitch for the first time. So they might not look great. That could be your argument as to why knitting looks better, but no, it doesn't. It doesn't. You can tell it's consistent for the most part. Not my cup of tea. I can 100% say right now that I am not enjoying this because of this yarn. It is the yarn's fault that I'm not enjoying this. So we are frogging everything. This is probably like an hour and a half of work wasted. It was fun, but now, like, it's not fun. This yarn is trash. Okay, it is later in the evening. I have decided that instead of giving up on this video and on knitting, I'm going to size my needles down. These are 8mm. I was using 12.5. So I'm thinking these are super old, and I'm pretty sure these are the ones that came from my boyfriend's great aunt. So I guess I'm going to cast on, and I'm going to try and do a stockinette scarf. I'm gonna get as far as I can with a stockinette stitch. I hope it doesn't curl. I'm gonna do the first row garter and the last row garter. This needle is bent right here. You can see as I'm spinning it, it is not straight. And they are two different colors. One is more pastel. I will switch the sides. It is not lighting. They are different colors. So these are two mismatched needles, but they're the exact same needles from the exact same brand. I find that quite funny. Whatever, they're the same. Alright, I cast on 17 stitches instead of 15 just because these are smaller needles, so it will be tiniest bit smaller. And I learned earlier, I was watching a video, and apparently I am doing continental knitting. There are different types. There's continental and there's English. And I'm sure all the experienced knitters are saying, I already knew that. I did not, but apparently continental knitting is a lot easier to learn after you crochet. I mean, I knew there were some there were kind of different types, but like I didn't know that was the difference. This is also called left hand knitting. let's get into it. I'm gonna try and see how long it takes me to get through all of this. I wish these needles were shorter. I don't need them to be this long. This is way too long, like half this length. Half this length. It's my forearm. Okay, I have no idea if this is gonna help keep my stockinette stitch from curling, but I have the garter stitch in the bottom, and I'm doing the first and the last stitches in a garter stitch on my purl rows. So hopefully that keeps it from curling, and I will meet you back here when I have a lot more done. It has been an hour and a half, and this is how much I've gotten done so far. The stockinette definitely probably takes, here we go, it probably takes about twice as long as just a regular garter stitch, but I'm actually pretty happy with how this is turning out. My tension seems to be very consistent except for on the edge right here, but I mean, the edge is probably the hardest part to have a super consistent tension. Other than the fact that the yarn keeps splitting and these needles are too long, I'm actually enjoying this. So, and I've barely used any of the yarn to get this far. I will be back probably in the morning. Okay, it is 3 p.m. the next day. This is how far I've gotten. I've been barely working on it today, but somewhere along the line I increased a stitch, and I don't know where. I don't know how I did that. I'm thinking, I think I see actually where. I think it was right here. I'm done. I'm at that point where every little thing is starting to piss me off. I had some numbness in my thumb, which I've never had before, so knitting is clearly more taxing on your hands than crochet. I did find some shorter needles, but they are a 9mm, and the ones I used were 8mm. Definitely was not able to make a scarf, but I was able to get this far, and it is curling like crazy, so the knit stitch on each end did not help. I probably should have made it thicker, more than just one stitch on the end right there. This is how much yarn I have left. I'm done with it. I never want to touch another knitting needle again. But if enough people enjoy this video, I do have a bunch of this size 3 yarn in white, and I was starting to make a little throw blanket. I mean, I could continue this, but I don't really love it. If anybody has any suggestions to knit with this, I'm pretty sure it was like baby soft or something. I don't have the sleeve. I don't think it came with the sleeve because my mom went and bought this for me. Anyway, if anybody has any suggestions on what to knit next, I would be willing to try again with this size 3 acrylic yarn. But I won't wear sweaters, I won't wear scarves, I won't wear hats. I'm not gonna do socks. Socks wouldn't even be made with a size 3. Give me any suggestions that I wouldn't want to crochet, because if I can crochet it, I will. That's how much I despise knitting. If I can crochet it, I will, because crochet looks better than knit. Like, you see this? Crochet doesn't do this. Crochet doesn't curl. So I'm going to cake all of this back up. What a waste of a day. And then I'm gonna donate it so that somebody else can use it for whatever. Because, like, I keep all my yarn scraps for amigurumi, but I still have a, 20-ounce bag of stuffing that I bought 5 years ago for amigurumi, but I literally don't do amigurumi often. I prefer to make wearables. Even when I started crocheting, one of the first things I wanted to make was a skirt. I never ended up making it. It was gonna be a light, like, sage green color, but I didn't have enough experience. Alright, I'm gonna call the video there. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, comment if you feel like it, subscribe for new videos every Monday.